dealers.
Tens of millions of Americans have serious problems with drinking and/or drugs. Substance abuse can get even worse during the holidays for many reasons. If you're worried about a friend or a family member, we've got you covered with Shari. Nice to have you with us to talk about this. It can get a little touchy, especially with families during the holidays.
It's very tough.
Even if they don't have a drinking or a substance abuse problem, it can just become a problem that evening or day or something. So why is it so much more prominent during the holidays?
Well, one of the first tenets of recovery is to change the people, places, and things that actually trigger those sort of brain chemistries and neuropathways that drive people to reach for that drink, people with a substance abuse disorder of some kind. So the goal is to eliminate that brain chemistry from happening. No different than a diabetic would have to avoid sugar to watch their blood sugar levels. It's the same type of thing. The problem is that the holidays are sort of rampant with those triggers. So you've got high school buddies that you're accustomed to drinking with. You've got family members that have weird dynamics, sometimes dysfunctional dynamics. You've got stressful work parties that you're sort of required to be at. On top of that, they're all centered around alcohol. I mean, literally and figuratively, you've got that big bowl of eggnog in the middle of the room. And you add to that this sort of holiday image that everyone's perpetuating, posting pictures of the perfect family, and the media's putting, the perfect Christmas experience up on television. It can lead a lot of people to feel sort of excluded, especially if you have a substance abuse problem and you need to kind of back off a little bit. So there's a lot of triggers.
So if you're a host at an event, what do you do to make sure things don't get out of control and ruin all the fun?
Sure. Well, that really depends on where a person is in their recovery and what your relationship is to them. So if it's a close family member, for example, Roxanne, we were talking before we went live, you might pull that person aside and have a conversation and first ask how you can support their sobriety, but also set your own boundaries and consequences for those boundaries if the lines are crossed. Boundaries need to be clear, concise, realistic, and simple. But the other big issue for family members of people with a substance abuse issue is to remember that this disease is a family dynamic issue as well. So it may be that you have these images of the family being together for the holiday, and maybe your loved one just isn't really ready for that. You need to respect that and keep your own personal issues out of it. If it's more of a distant person, a coworker or a distant friend, maybe you want to limit the alcohol, provide non-alcohol alternatives, or maybe even host your event in a public place.
It's probably always a good idea to have non-alcoholic beverages around for anyone.
Well, and be sensitive to it.
And be sensitive to it. Don't ask people to, of course you want another glass.
Right.
Just if they don't, they don't.
Right.
Leave it at that. Well, that's good advice. Boy, let's hope it's a happy holiday for everybody.
Well, and the thing is, we're all going to have someone, family members, whether we know it or not, we're all going to be at events where there are people who have drinking problems. And it's important for us to start to be sensitive to that with this many millions of people wwho are suffering.
Sensitive and respectful about it. Thanks, Shari.
Sure.
Nice to see you.
Sure.
Appreciate the info. Felicia?
Ross, good Wednesday morning, everyone. Let's